My fiancée said I wasn't ready for marriage because I wouldn't co-sign a $75,000 loan for her influencer engagement launch. Then I caught her using our joint card to fund a brand with her ex behind my back. She said yes, and I swear I forgot to breathe for a whole 10 seconds. My name is Mateo Delgado. I'm 32, and I live in Austin, Texas. I'm a chef, one of those up-and-coming types people write about in local magazines and tag on foodie Instagram pages. The night I proposed to Lena felt like the culmination of everything. The years of hustle in kitchens, the late nights, the busted fingers, the doubting myself, it all felt worth it in that moment she looked up, teary-eyed, and said yes. We were in the backyard of our townhouse. Fairy lights strung between the trees. A bottle of cava sweating on the table. I cooked, of course I cooked, and when dessert came out, there it was, a tiny gold ring buried in the middle of a lemon tart, surrounded by edible flowers. I got down on one knee, and she laughed through the tears, saying, "Are you serious?" twice before I even opened my mouth. And then, just like that, we were engaged. I thought we'd spend the night calling our families, planning something quiet. A little dinner with my folks and hers. Just the core people. But before I could even finish clearing the plates, Lena had already opened her laptop. "Okay," she said, fingers flying across the keyboard. "Picture this, Santorini. White and blue everything. A launch party / engagement celebration / content opportunity. I'm talking drone footage. A 4-day itinerary. Sponsors. Champagne walls. You and me on a rooftop terrace with the Aegean in the background." I just stood there, holding a dish towel, thinking she was joking. She wasn't. "Wait," I said, trying to smile. "You're talking about flying everyone to Greece for the engagement party?" She turned her head slowly, her expression bright like she was unveiling the most obvious plan in the world. "Babe, this is the launch. We can't just announce it with a text and a dinner. I've already got DMs from 2 brands asking if we're doing a collab reveal. This is a career moment." I nodded slowly, but inside I was scrambling. Lena's a fashion blogger, well, more like a lifestyle brand now. She's got hundreds of thousands of followers and deals with beauty lines, hotels, and God knows what else. I'd always admired her hustle, but I never imagined our engagement would become part of it. That night, she stayed up until 2, sketching out ideas on her iPad. Mood boards, guest list tiers, budget projections. Just ballpark, she mumbled, half asleep, maybe 75 grand, depending on the brand tie-ins. I nearly dropped my glass. 75 what? Thousand, she said, not even looking up. I wanted to say something, but she was glowing. Giddy. Floating on adrenaline and Pinterest boards. So I forced a laugh and said, "Well, if anyone can pull it off, you can." But my stomach was already tight. In my mind, I saw a backyard barbecue with string lights and margaritas. Not a luxury campaign shoot halfway across the world. She leaned over and kissed my cheek. "This is going to be perfect." I smiled back, but something in my gut twisted. I told myself she was just excited. That was the first lie. A few days later, we were sitting on the couch surrounded by swatches, vendor PDFs, and Lena's iPad lit up with another spreadsheet. I had just gotten home from the restaurant, shirt still damp from the kitchen heat, and I barely had time to take off my shoes before she launched into a breakdown of Santorini villas that had rooftop jacuzzis. "We could fly in 2 photographers. One for stills, one for reels," she said, scrolling like her fingers were on autopilot. "Oh, and a drone guy. Remember that guy from our Cabo trip? He'd totally do it for exposure." "Lena," I said gently, wiping my hands on my jeans. "Can we talk for a sec?" She didn't look up. "Sure, but also, listen, if we put your name on some of the brand contracts, we can maybe expense the catering under a joint event. Win-win." "Lena." She finally paused and looked over. "What?" I sat down across from her and took a breath. "I've been running the numbers. Between this launch party and the stuff we're paying out of pocket to front before sponsors reimburse, this is spiraling, babe. I just opened a second location. I've got half my savings tied up in it." She blinked. "Okay. So, I said, choosing my words carefully, maybe we dial this back. Do something a little simpler. Local, even. Use that money for a down payment on a house or something longer term." Her face twisted into this look I'd seen once or twice when someone asked her if being an influencer was a real job. Like I had insulted her. "You want to downgrade our engagement launch into some backyard barbecue?" she asked, voice flat. "That's not what I said." "Yes, it is. You're thinking small, Mateo. Like, tiny. You're stuck in the idea that this is just a party. This is branding. It's momentum. It's a career move." I tried to stay calm. "I get that. I really do. But what if we—" "No," she snapped. "You don't get it. You're acting like this is some splurge. This is a strategic investment. I'm building an empire here, and you're asking me to settle for punch bowls and folding chairs." I sat back, trying not to take the bait. "I'm not asking you to settle. I'm asking us to be smart. Maybe not take out a loan for something we can't actually afford. She raised an eyebrow. Who said anything about a loan? And then she pulled it up, an application for a joint business credit line. With both our names. Are you serious right now? I asked, stunned. We get approved fast with your restaurant income. I stood up. No. Absolutely not. That's reckless. Her jaw clenched. Then she stood too. Fine. If you don't want to support me, don't. And just like that, she grabbed her keys and walked out the door. No explanation. No compromise. Just silence and the faint sound of her heels fading down the stairs. It started small. Missed calls from my mom. One-word replies from my brother, Gabriel. Then came the cold shoulders. At first, I thought I was imagining it. Maybe everyone was just busy. Maybe my texts were getting lost in the shuffle. But when Gabriel bailed on our usual Sunday lunch with a vague "things came up," and Mom stopped liking any of the posts I shared about the new restaurant, I knew something was off. The final straw was dinner at my parents' house the following weekend. I brought over some food from the restaurant, the way I always did. Normally, they'd make a big deal. Mom would call me her little chef on fire, and my dad would pretend to critique the seasoning like a gang. But that night, barely a smile. Gabriel barely said 2 words. My mom avoided eye contact. Even my dad kept his head in the game, literally, watching some college football on mute. Everything okay? I asked, finally, halfway through the meal. Gabriel pushed his plate aside and looked at me like I'd asked something offensive. Shouldn't I be the one asking you that? I blinked. What's that supposed to mean? He leaned forward, elbows on the table. Lena told us what happened. That you offered to fund the engagement launch, then yanked it back out of jealousy. I sat back, stunned. What? My mom finally spoke. She said you were excited at first, and then started getting weird once things got big. That you got insecure. Hold on, I said, hands up. I never promised to fund anything. We talked about a small celebration. And when she started planning a $75,000 international production, I said we should slow down. She said you got threatened, Gabriel added. By how well she's doing. That you're used to being the successful one. I laughed, but there was no humor in it. You seriously believe I'd be threatened by her success? I've supported her every step. I've never once asked her to tone it down. I just didn't want to co-sign a loan for a sponsored photo shoot masquerading as a wedding event. My mom gave me a tight smile. Sometimes it's not about the money, Mateo. Sometimes it's about showing you believe in her. And what about showing I believe in us? I snapped. This isn't about support. It's about not going bankrupt for Instagram likes. Gabriel shook his head. You sound bitter. I looked at both of them, my own family, and felt something twist in my chest. Lena had beat me here. She told her side, twisted it into some tale of sabotage. And they bought it. I can't believe you're taking her side, I said quietly. She's not a side, my mom replied. She's your fiancée. And right now, she says she feels alone in this. That should mean something. It did. It meant I was completely on my own. I stood up, heart pounding. Thanks for dinner. Gabriel muttered. Don't be dramatic. But I didn't answer. I walked out, got in my car, and sat in the dark driveway for 10 minutes, gripping the wheel. She wasn't just building an empire. She was building it on my back, and now she had my family laying the bricks. She didn't come home that night. I waited until past midnight, lights off, phone screen lighting up the dark living room every time I checked the time. I kept telling myself she just needed space, that we'd talk it through in the morning like adults. But by the next afternoon, she still hadn't come back. When she finally walked in, sunglasses on, carrying a smoothie and a shopping bag like nothing had happened, she barely acknowledged me. You left, I said, standing in the kitchen doorway. I needed air, she replied, tossing her purse on the couch. You stormed out in the middle of a fight. She shrugged. Better than saying something I'd regret. I waited for her to elaborate, to apologize. But she just sat down and pulled out her phone. We need to make a decision, she said without looking up. About what? The launch. Santorini. Everything. I have brands waiting for confirmation, and I can't keep stalling. Either you're in, or you're not. My throat tightened. You mean, either I help pay for it, or we don't do it? She finally looked at me. I mean, either you believe in me, or you don't. I'm not asking you to write a blank check. I'm asking you to stand beside me while I take this leap. By co-signing a loan? I said. That's not support, Lena. That's a financial risk I can't take right now. You took a risk on your restaurant, she snapped. What's the difference? The difference is I wasn't dragging someone else's credit into it. Her face went cold. You're making this about money when it's really about control, she said, standing up. You don't want me to shine unless it fits your idea of what's acceptable. You want to keep me small, so you feel big. That's not true, I said, but my voice cracked. I just want something that makes sense. Something we can afford. You're asking me to fund a spectacle, not a celebration. I'm asking you, she said slowly, to show me that you're all in. I stared at her, heart pounding. What are you saying? She folded her arms. I'm saying if you can't stand behind me on this, if you can't even believe in my vision enough to help make it happen, maybe we need to rethink the engagement altogether. I froze. You're giving me an ultimatum. She didn't answer. She didn't need to. Later that night, my mom called. I didn't even tell her what happened. Lena had already gotten to her. You need to ask yourself, she said, are you really ready for marriage if you can't stand behind your woman? I didn't respond. I just sat there, listening to my own mother imply that I wasn't man enough to support my fiancé's ambitions. After we hung up, Lena curled up next to me on the couch like nothing had happened. She rested her head on my shoulder, her voice soft. This is what I've dreamed of my whole life. And for a split second, I wondered if maybe I was the problem. Maybe I was too practical, too cautious. Or maybe I just wasn't willing to sell my future to pay for someone else's dream. After the ultimatum, something shifted. Not just between us, but in Lena. The sparkle, the excitement, gone. She wasn't angry, not exactly. Just distant. She still slept in our bed, still posted curated selfies with captions like blessed beyond measure. But at home, she barely spoke unless it was about budgets or vendor emails. Every conversation had a price tag. Every glance felt like a silent negotiation. One night, about a week later, I came home early. She was in the office, door open, headphones on, typing away at her laptop. I paused in the hallway, debating whether to say something. Then I noticed the message on her screen. I didn't mean to snoop. I swear I didn't. But when you walk in, and your fiancé's chat window is open, and it starts with, "Don't worry, I'll get the funding." He always folds eventually. It's impossible to look away. I stood there frozen, her words scrolling past like a movie scene I didn't sign up for. She was talking to someone named Noah, creative DR. Noah? You sure? Thought he was putting his foot down. Lena. He always does it first. He just needs time to feel like it's his idea. Noah, you're good. Remind me to never get on your bad side. Lena. LOL, I've got him trained. Give it another week. I backed up quietly and walked straight into the bedroom. My chest was tight. I sat on the edge of the bed, trying to breathe, trying not to explode. She came in 20 minutes later, smiling like everything was normal. She didn't mention Noah. Didn't mention money. Just handed me a dinner plate and asked, "Can you transfer the deposit for the villa tomorrow? It's refundable if we cancel, promise." I nodded, numb. The next morning, I checked our shared credit card out of habit. She booked a luxury retreat in Palm Springs. 2 nights. Content shoot, the note said. She hadn't told me. Later that week, she posted a photo of herself lounging in a silk robe, champagne in hand, with the caption, "Manifesting big things. Grateful for the real ones." I stared at it for a long time. I wasn't tagged. I wasn't mentioned. I wasn't even in the comments she responded to. That weekend, she spent $5,000 on wardrobe pulls and stylist curation, all on our joint card. I didn't say anything. I wanted to. God, I wanted to. But every time I tried to bring it up, I saw her face from that night, the one where she whispered, "This is what I've dreamed of my whole life." And I hesitated. Maybe I didn't want to believe it. That I was being played. That I was the mark in a very pretty, very curated con. So I stayed quiet. Watched. Waited. And deep down, I think part of me already knew. This wasn't a partnership. It was a performance. And I was just the prop. She left her laptop open. It was late, past midnight. I'd just gotten home from the restaurant, exhausted and smelling like garlic and grill smoke. The house was quiet. Lena had gone to sleep early after posting a reel of her unboxing some skin serum that promised bride-worthy glow. I was just about to crash on the couch when I noticed her laptop glowing on the dining table. Normally, I wouldn't touch it. But that night, I couldn't help myself. It wasn't curiosity. It was instinct. That whisper in the back of your mind that says something's off, and you either check now or regret it forever. I walked over and glanced at the screen. Her Instagram inbox was open. What caught my eye wasn't the messages, it was the file folder in the corner labeled Launch Assets Noah. Noah again. I clicked. Inside were receipts, wire transfer slips, PDFs of contract drafts. Nothing had my name on it, but one thing stopped me cold. A bank statement. From an account I didn't recognize. I clicked through. The name on the top was a business entity I'd never heard of, NNL Media Collective. Beneath it, in smaller text, account owners, Noah Ellis, Lena Reyes. My heart nearly stopped. I opened another file. An invoice from a PR agency I knew we hadn't hired. It was marked paid in full, funds withdrawn directly from the joint account she shared with Noah. The money trail was clear. And worse? One of the transfer sources was our shared card. I sat down, my hands shaking. And then I saw the messages. She hadn't logged out of her desktop iMessage app. Lena to Noah, just 3 days ago. He's still stalling. But I've got a plan. He hates conflict. He'll cave if I frame it like a trust issue. Worst case, I pivot with the launch and tie it to the retreat shoot. Already have backup funding if needed. Then the one that did me in. I'm not stupid. I'm not walking into marriage without options. Just playing it smart. That was it. I closed the laptop gently, walked into the bathroom, and stared at myself in the mirror for a long time. My face looked hollow. My chest was buzzing, full of heat and betrayal. She wasn't planning a life with me. She was planning a life around me, using my name, my credit, my platform, and keeping Noah in her back pocket the whole time. Not as just a business partner. The tone of their messages said it all. The winks, the you up texts, the way she sent him selfies she never posted publicly. Back in our room, she was curled up on her side, breathing softly, like nothing in the world could touch her. I stood there in the doorway, frozen. Everything I thought I was building with her, with us, felt fake. Scripted. She wasn't my fiancée. She was the brand. And I was just the launch pad she planned to jump off of. I waited until morning. I didn't sleep. I just sat in the living room all night, staring at the wall, replaying every red flag I'd ignored. Every he always folds eventually moment. Every excuse. Every swipe of our shared card that made me feel crazy for questioning her. At 8:13 a.m., Lena came out of the bedroom in one of her oversized sweaters, acting like she hadn't just detonated our future behind my back. Hey, she said casually, walking past me toward the kitchen. Want coffee? I'm making a matcha too if you want one. Sit down. She froze mid-step. The tone of my voice must have told her this wasn't just a bad morning. She turned slowly, expression guarded, and sat on the edge of the couch across from me. I slid her laptop onto the coffee table. I read the messages. I saw the bank statements. I know about Noah. I know about the NNL account. Her mouth opened slightly, like she was about to deny it, but I didn't give her the chance. You've been funneling money out of our shared finances into a business you set up with your ex. You've been using me for the launch, for credibility, for cash. You even said you were keeping your options open. And I'm not even mad about Noah anymore. I leaned forward. I'm mad you thought I was that stupid. Lena blinked, lips pressed tight. Then, slowly, she crossed her arms. You went through my laptop? That's what you're leading with? I asked, incredulous. You violated my privacy, Mateo. I actually laughed short, bitter. You violated our future. You hijacked our engagement and turned it into a stepping stone for your next chapter. You lied to my face and let me believe I was building a life with someone who wanted the same thing. She stood up, voice rising. I didn't lie. I curated. Everything I did was strategic, for both of us. This launch was going to elevate you, too. But you couldn't handle it. You folded early for once, and now you're looking for someone to blame. My chest burned. It's over, I said flatly. She stopped mid-rant. What? I want you out by the end of the week. Actually, no. Just pack a bag and go now. You can come back for the rest with someone else here. You're breaking up with me, she said like she couldn't believe it. You already broke it, I replied. You just didn't think I'd walk away from the wreck. She stood there a second, stunned. Then her face shifted, softened. This is a mistake, she said, her voice low, almost sweet. You're upset now, but once this dies down. No, I interrupted. We're done. Go. 10 minutes later, she was gone. Not before she gave one final dramatic exit, slamming the door and muttering loud enough for the neighbors to hear. He's emotionally abusive, by the way. Just wait. You'll see. By the end of the day, mutual friends started texting me weird questions. I knew the spin had begun. So I did the only thing I could. I opened a new folder on my laptop and labeled it Lena Documentation. If she wanted to play games, I was finally ready to play defense. It was 3 days later when I got the message. A random DM request on Instagram. No name at first, just a blurry profile picture of a sunset and the handle at Ellis Knows. Mateo, I owe you the truth. Can we talk? It was Noah. I stared at the message for a long time. I almost ignored it. Almost deleted it on sight. But something told me, whatever he had to say, I needed to hear it. I sent back one line. Talk. 15 minutes later, he called. His voice was quiet. Nervous. Hey. I know I'm probably the last person you want to hear from. And I get it. I can't keep sitting on this. She's gone too far. Why now? I asked. Because she told me she was going to sue you. Said she was planning to file for financial damages, loss of brand momentum, career interference. Some wild PR spin. And I don't know, man. You didn't deserve any of this. There was a long pause. I'm sending you the screenshots, he said. Everything. DMs, emails, voice notes. She used you. My phone buzzed. A flood of images. Lena bragging about how she could get whatever she wanted from me. Laughing at how I was too soft to call her bluff. Messages to Noah saying she planned to milk the engagement for exposure and cash, then upgrade. Her exact words. He's good for now, but let's be real. I need someone on my level. Just writing this out. I didn't say a word. You okay? Noah asked. I didn't answer. I just hung up. I opened my laptop and forwarded every file to my lawyer, Michelle. She'd been helping me quietly ever since the split, prepping in case Lena tried something reckless. She called an hour later. Mateo, this is gold. It proves everything. If she tries anything in court, we'll bury her. She was right to prepare. The very next day, Lena filed a formal complaint, claiming I breached verbal contract agreements tied to brand development obligations. Basically, she was trying to say I'd promised to fund her influencer empire and that not doing so cost her money. Her lawyer probably thought I'd roll over, that I wouldn't want to go public. But I showed up to court with a binder and a hard drive. We presented messages, bank records, that business account she co-owned with Noah, voice notes of her calling me a placeholder, DMs where she literally described the engagement as a strategic brand maneuver. The judge barely let her attorney finish the argument before cutting in. I strongly advise your client withdraw her claim, she said sternly. And if I hear of any further attempts to defame Mr. Delgado, I'll consider sanctions. Lena didn't look at me once during the whole hearing. Afterward, in the hallway, her lawyer tried to offer a quiet truce. We can keep this out of the press if you walk away. I smiled. Oh, I'm walking. But I'm not leaving empty-handed. That night, I released a short statement on my restaurant's official page. Calm. Professional. Just the facts. Lena tried to weaponize a relationship for clout and cash. I defended myself and cleared my name. And for once, everyone saw her for what she really was. I mailed the court documents to my mom and Gabriel. Didn't text. Didn't call. Just sent the thick envelope with a yellow sticky note on top that read, "If you're still confused about what happened." Gabriel called me 2 days later. Voice quiet. No swagger. No judgment. I'm sorry, man, he said. I didn't know all of that. I didn't say anything at first. He cleared his throat. She made it sound like you snapped. Like you were insecure about her success. I exhaled. You believed it. I did. And that's on me. It wasn't exactly closure, but it was something. At least he said it to my face. Mom, though? She never brought it up. No apology. No admission. Just little passive-aggressive check-ins like, "Are you eating?" Or, "The holidays won't be the same without you." I didn't answer half the time. Not because I was angry, because I was tired. Tired of chasing validation from people who only backed me when it was convenient. Tired of trying to explain myself to people who never listened until the damage was already done. So I did something I never thought I'd do. I took a break from my family. No Thanksgiving this year. No Sunday lunches. No updates from the restaurant unless they heard about it like everyone else online. I moved into a new apartment closer to the new location. Smaller space, less noise. My mornings became quiet. Peaceful. Instead of waking up to Lena pacing the floor, voice sharp from yet another collab crisis, I woke up to sunlight and the smell of coffee I brewed myself. I started cooking for pleasure again. Meals that weren't photographed, plated for posts, or designed for clout. I reclaimed my life. I reviewed every shared account, scrubbed my name from every business connection she tried to link me to, and finally closed the last credit card we once used together. Done. Cut. Clean. One Friday afternoon, about 3 months after the court hearing, I got an email. Subject line, checking in, Sarah at ATX Food Scene. She was a local food critic I'd met a year ago when she did a profile on my first restaurant. Smart, direct, zero bullshit. The kind of person who actually listened. She'd heard about everything. I know you've been through hell lately, she wrote. But if you ever feel like grabbing a coffee or a plate of something you didn't cook, I'm around. We met the following week. Casual. No pressure. Just 2 people sharing a table without pretense. It wasn't romantic. Not yet. But it felt real. Like breathing after being underwater too long. She asked me how I was holding up. I thought about everything, Lena, my family, the lies, the fallout. And I just said, better. Because I was. I wasn't healed. Not all the way. But I was grounded again. Back in my own skin. And for the first time in a long time, the silence I sat in wasn't cold or empty. It was peace.